Hello, this is the third part of the discussion series, what is intelligence. See, in this particular thing I'll just talk a little bit faster so that I can put more materials in that 10 to 15 minutes coverage. Now what I am trying to do is the basic elements of intelligence according to our definition. Coming to the definition part, I'll tell you later. That itself is a funny part of it. Now what I'll do is the basics. There must be a sensing element to sense. Then it should be fed to the brain or whatever it is as a storage in the form of a memory, etc. Then it is analyzed, which the information becomes the knowledge or whatever it is. After the analysis, the decision making part comes into picture that results in the last one called action. So according to our definition, all these things are basic elements or the sequence of things to which we adhere our definition as intelligence. If these things are not happening, then we will not call it as intelligence. A brief animation I am showing now of the sensing element, which will give this sense, and then the memory part, then comes the analysis part, then finally the decision making, and then action. Look at that, action is represented in that particular fashion. Of course, out of all these things, sensing element is a very important thing. Not that others are not important, but it is a tricky thing. Of course, we are having 5 sensing elements that you know already. The one important thing that some animals are sensing and we are not sensing as humans is the magnetic field. Many birds and other insects, etc., they are capable of sensing magnetic field strength and direction, etc. That we will discuss later. Anyway, if you can't sense, then you can't exhibit the remaining activities, and therefore the question of intelligence will not come at all. Sensing is a method of inputting the information. Afterwards all the other things will come into picture. Very peculiar thing, as we discuss in the later parts of it, in certain cases we may not find the actual sensing element or where it is, its location, how it is sensing, but still certain things will be showing intelligence. That we will discuss later. The important part of sensing element we will not go into detail. Right up to the single cell organism we will go now, like amoeba. Amoeba is having some kind of sensing element on the surface that will sense from the fragrance of the food, the direction of the food, and whether it is food or not. 2 things it is doing. If there is a small food grain, then it will sense that there is a small food grain, and wonderful thing is it has no brain at all. Still we attribute intelligence. This is the peculiarity, because it can decide that it is the food. Not only that one, it will start moving in that particular direction because of the cellular fluid mechanism, and that I will show you in the form of a small animation. It will go adjust its cell into a cavity, engulfs the food, etc. You know already. But remember, it is not having a brain, but still we attribute intelligence to this one because it is making the other activities and the final action, etc. Let us consider a very simple act of closing the tap by observing the bucket is full of water. Almost any human being will do it. Sometimes even monkeys will do. Anyway, here the sensing element is the eye, etc. He will be seeing, and then when the bucket is full, he will close the tap. This will attribute it to intelligence. He is learning that it should not overflow. He has understood and he is doing all the activities. Finally, the action that is shown in the form of this small animation where he will see that the bucket is full, he will close the valve. Why I am considering this? Because I will show you another similar thing, simple one, which will do the same thing, but we will not call it as intelligence. That animation also I will show you. That is nothing but float and the ball valve arrangement. Here the float is the sensing element. It will sense, then that pressure is transferred to the valve, and when the tank is full or up to the desired level, the inflow is automatically closed. So it is also doing the same action, but we say that it is not intelligent, it is mechanically programmed to do like that, because it is not understanding. There comes the discussion now. Are we indirectly attaching this intelligence to living beings only? Because today the robots can do wonderful things, but still we will call it as artificial intelligence. Whoever programs it, whether it is by nature or by human being or whatever it is, intelligence means intelligence, but we are not accepting. Of course, after hearing and watching my lectures of 1 and 2, some people have sent the link for the definition of intelligence. I will tell you a very peculiar thing. There are classifications. Definition by a scientist. That scientist also varied personalities are there. A person in physics field, a person in some other field, etc. Classifications are there, and in each classification some 10-20 definitions are there. Definition by doctors. There also classification, psychologist, etc., etc. Again there are 10-20 definitions in each classification. Definition by software engineer. There also classification, artificial intelligence programmer, other programmers, etc., etc. The classification itself was around some 10 classifications or more, and each classification was containing 10-20 definitions. So minimum accepted number of definitions all put together is around 200 or 250. I started reading some definitions, but then later on I realized that after reading many definitions, I will be more confused. So that means after reading at least some definitions, I never got the answer for intelligence. But the result is I got a bigger question. That is, what is the correct definition for definition itself? Because if you are defining something in 200 different ways, what do you mean by definition? A definition should be precise and it should be one or two or something like that. If there are 200 definitions, that means we have not correctly understood what it is. Anyway, that definition helped me to realize that definition is yet to come. The correct definition, according to the definition of definition for intelligence, is yet to come. Anyway, whatever may be the definition that we will get or will not get, we are experiencing that there is something called intelligence. In addition to all these things, yet another complication is still there in the intelligence, especially for human beings, that it is considered as a vector quantity like thing, which means it is having a magnitude and also direction. A very intelligent person in one particular direction may not show intelligence in other direction. Broadly, they have classified some 9 types of intelligence like athletics, music, etc., which we will not go into detail. Anyway, it is having magnitude as well as a direction. See, remember, we are measuring, comparing, etc., without knowing what it is completely. Anyway, we can do like that. I'll end up with yet another simple experiment which I did in my school days. See, I was again having that sentence, a spider cannot be fooled twice. Is it applicable to other insects also? Then I did a similar experiment for lizard. Those times, of course, a tubelite frame, old fashioned tubelite frame itself was the house of a lizard. And then at night what I did was, I simply painted a piece of paper like a fly and glued it near the tubelite frame. I switched off all the lights at night and waited for 10 minutes. Lizard came and then it observed for just 10 seconds. Then it was trying to eat. Then after sensing it in its mouth, remember, it threw it away. Again after 10 minutes, I did the same experiment. The same lizard, same day, after 10 minutes, again came, again did the same thing. Third time, fourth time, same thing. Same lizard, next day. Again I did some 3 times, same thing. Which means a lizard can be fooled many times, unlike the spider. So now we can compare. The spider is more intelligent than lizard without knowing the complete definition of intelligence. Of course, you know already that we will discuss later of intelligent quotient, measurement, etc. are there, even though there are 250 definitions for intelligence. But remember, the last point is it indirectly attached to life? If it is not living, are we not calling it as intelligence? Think it over. Send me the feedbacks. Thank you for listening.